Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. We're very glad you're with us. It's January 22nd, 2021. Let me fix that. 2021. I guess nobody noticed that last week. So there we go. So it's January 22nd, 2021. Yesterday was 21, 21, 21, whatever. So we're very, very glad you're with us today. So our agenda today, we'll start out with success stories. I know of 3 landings so far. I don't know if any of those people are on the line with us today. If not, we'll make sure we let everybody know about that. Then we'll have everybody enter their 30-second introductions into the chat box, which I will then publish this afternoon in an email to everybody. And hopefully you'll have a chance to take a look at those. And if you can help somebody, please go through and try to help people out that are on here. We'll then go to our committee reports, workshop, job fairs, the PIT crew, the career tip of the week. We'll then have our main event. And as a special little thing today, I actually have a couple licenses, a couple 1-month licenses that you can use jobscan.co for free for unlimited uses for a whole month for the month of February. And we'll be giving those away at the end of this programming today. So for those people on Zoom, I noticed there's a couple people there. There's Guy.G, there's Alexis with no last name. We ask that you please go and rename yourself. Put in your full first and last name. If you want to try to win our prize or win the jobscan.co, I need to have your full name. And it's just good Zoom etiquette if you can to put in your full name. And you can do that by just hovering over the little camera, and then you should be able to go and rename your name and then click OK. And if you click on there, remember my name for future meetings, you won't have to do that every time. For those on Zoom, please use the chat box to enter your questions throughout the presentation. And if you have any questions on Facebook, please use the comment field. I am monitoring that feed, and I'll make sure those questions get answered. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your name, picture, and comments to appear. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. Several different people have run it over the years, but last time in 2007, when the person who was leading it got a job, he said, who wanted to take over? And I think I did this. He said, okay, Jeff, you're it. So I've been doing that ever since, every Friday morning. I miss seeing all you all. I miss seeing everybody in person. Since in 2008, I started careerdfw.org, a website to help those job seekers in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In 2012, I launched careerusa.org to help people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It's available on Amazon for 15 bucks. And if you want to drive by my house, if you live in the DFW area, throw 10 bucks out the window. I'll attempt to throw a book in your window if you drive real slow. And also in the foreword of this book, I talk about Fred. So Fred is actually in the forward of the book before we even get to all the tips and stuff that we talk about. Since 2017, I've been a member of the practice interview team, and we'll hear more about the practice interview team in just a few minutes. Well, we like to start the meeting off with success stories. Is there anybody on the line who has landed that'd like to announce their landings before I announce the 3 that I know about? Just unmute your mic and let us know. Anybody? Going once? Going twice? Okay, the 3 people that I'm aware of. Constantine Temestry, she's accepted a job offer in her previous field as a patient care coordinator with Optimal Health and Skin. The referral came from a dear friend who I've worked with in the past, so she made connections and networked, and she's excited about being able to work together again. She says, you all are incredible. I'm still at awe how you put the whole system together and have compassionately kept it going through all these years, and that how you've handled the new online situation, superb. So thanks for her. And Constantine was one of those people who happened to watch us all the time on Facebook. She never watched us on Zoom, but every week on Facebook, I would see her there. Lisa King has landed after a 6-month search at Creston Electronics in Plano. The initial video interview was on 12/22. So yes, the hiring process does happen during the interview, and she starts on next Monday. Thank you so very much for all you do, for thanking Walt, Carol, Mark, and the group that everybody, everybody does for all of you. So that's second landing. And then our third landing is Patty Dunn. She's accepted a temp to hire position as a benefits specialist. She's enjoyed the group. Thanks for all the assistance that was provided. Have a good week. So 3 more landings. That may take us to 11 or 12. I didn't call up. I didn't look this morning to see where we are for the year. So people are landing. I'll let you know how many landings we've had when I put out the email this afternoon. Any other landings before I move on? One more
I've got
chance?
one, Jeff.
Yeah, go ahead, Mark.
All right, so Gabrielle Carlson was a member of the pit crew, so she's the one of the panelists who gave the interviews, and joined last spring. She worked for Service King, the janitor service, and of course, when COVID came, she was put on furlough. She did land a contract position in the summertime, and now that contract position has converted to full-time. So there you go. It can happen. The company is Blue Cora, and she's the director of talent acquisition.
Will you put that into the chat box? That
Sure,
way I'll have a record of it for this afternoon. That'd be great.
Okay.
Anybody else? All right, we will move on. Okay, so now what we'd like everybody to do is to please open up the chat box, and we would like you to put in all of the following details. We want you to put in your name, your phone number, email address, position you're looking for, and a couple target companies, and then hit the return key. You can see a couple of people have already done that. And by doing this, I will take all these information that everybody provides, and I will put it into an email that everybody will get this afternoon. And then hopefully you will go through and look, and you go, oh, I have a contact at that company, and you can try to help people at those companies. So 30 seconds on the clock, and here we go. So everybody, y'all can keep on going. Just keep plugging information in. That'd be really great. And there is a little tip here, because we do this every week. One of the things, if you're on a PC, you can open up something called Notepad, and you can build all these little notes in. I use Notepad extensively for all the emails I put out every day, and that way I can just cut and paste this information in. I like using it better than using a Word document, because Notepad strips out all the special formatting so that it always will put in exactly whatever's formatted for the whatever you're doing. I use it for LinkedIn. I use it for all sorts of things. So and I'm sure that the Mac has a similar program that you could use also. Okay, it's time for job career fairs, training, and workshops that are coming on. Eldon has people coming into the house, and if he hasn't left, nope, there he is. So Eldon, good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, I have the pleasure of getting a new furnace today. Just what I wanted to start the new year with. Good morning, everybody. As Jeff said, my name is Eldon Zarinsky, and I focus on providing information on career and job fairs and special workshops or events for the upcoming week. The information I'm about to convey to you comes from the calendar tab. There it is up there on the screen, from the website careerdfw.org. Having said that, I go through these things fairly quickly. So if you hear something, an event that's of interest, I urge you to go to that particular event on the calendar, click on it, and you'll get more information about that event, and also links, if it's a Zoom meeting, about attending. All right, this week's career and job fairs. Unfortunately, this week, there are no career and job fairs scheduled because we're still kind of in a COVID mess. Special workshops or events. These are online. Find out about Career DFW and careerusa.org and how to use them at the Fort Worth Career Search Network. This is Monday, January 25th from 9 a.m. to 11:30. And there is a Zoom link in the calendar for you to participate in that if you'd like to find out more about the Career DFW and careerusa.org websites. Online, LinkedIn Tuesdays at 1 p.m. online. This is a rotating meeting that features Locke Alderson, Terry Sullivan, Ruth Lipsky, and Kurt Vandemotter. Each week you'll hear a different approach to LinkedIn. There are Zoom and Facebook links on the calendar for that one. It's Tuesday, January 26th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Online interviewing Wednesdays at 1 p.m. The special guest series is Wednesday, January 27th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. There's a Zoom and a Facebook link for that, and I'm sure Mark McDonald will mention a little bit about that when he gets up. And finally, online resume Thursday sessions with Carol Brickell, certified professional career coach, on Thursday, January 28th from 1 to 2 p.m. And there are Zoom and Facebook links for that one as well. And that's it for this week.
Eldon, thank you very, very much. All right, let's see here. For anybody, if you're trying to find other events that are going on, other webinars, teleseminars, other meetings that are happening online, if you just on the banner page of Career DFW, you can click right there where it's circled in red. This is what will happen if it'll pop up. This is what will pop up. All the different meetings that are happening. You can click on any one of these events and you can find the Zoom event, the Zoom login information that's going on. If you happen to know somebody who just lost their job, we know another 900,000 people filed for unemployment this past week. The numbers just don't seem to be getting much better. If you know somebody who just lost their job, have them click on the Career DFW, Career USA websites. And if you click here for help, there's a great little article with all sorts of checklists and little basic things that you can do to sort of get your job search going and, you know, to make it happen, to make it work for you as quick and easy as you can, and just to get yourself going in the right foot, because if you're not sure what to do, it's right there. So let people know about this. It's got some really great information on it. Time to hear from the practice interview team. Mark, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. I'm unmuted and everything. I'm ready to go. So, hey, the pit crew, if you want some information about how the pit crew works, meaning if you would like to understand how you can get a practice interview set up, why don't you just send me an email at dallaspitcrew@gmail.com and say, you know, hey, Mark, what's up? And I'm going to send you a description of everything I'm about to say. So you don't really need to take any notes. So the pit crew is virtual now. We do our practice interviews on Zoom. It's the same format that we've always had, though. There will be 3 panelists, 3 interviewers. It's a very personalized and customized experience because you send in a job description and along with your resume, and we study up in advance like we always have done. So we can ask you very specific questions to the job you're pursuing and your background. And so through this technique, we teach you how to deal with difficult questions, how to have a good opening and closing to your interview, how to ask questions. And in the interview, and in this year, we're focusing more than we have in the past on how to build rapport, how to make a connection with the interviewer, because in the end, that'll be very important as well. So that's the pit crew. It takes 2 to 3 days to set up a practice interview because there's some logistics involved of, you know, when you're available and when the interviewers are available. But we do them every day of the week, and sometimes we even do them on the weekends if necessary. But, you know, try to give us the more advanced notice we have, the better chance we have of putting together a panel that's very specific to you, people with similar backgrounds to you. So that's how the pit crew works. When we used to meet face-to-face, we'd have our interviews, 3 or 4 of them, all at the same time in different rooms of the church. And then afterwards, we get together and we talk about them, and we talk about interviewing as well. So it's a little bit of an education session. Now that's much more formalized, and we do it on Wednesday afternoons in the form of a tutorial slash presentation that Walt Glass and I give, and we have 13 topics. Who knew interviewing was so complicated? I did. So we put down everything that we thought you needed to know to interview well, and it turned out to be like 20 hours of stuff. So we have 13 presentations. We're on number 4 next week, which will be video interviewing, and first impressions still count. When your picture flashes up on the screen for the first time, the interviewers are going to go to work making their subliminal assessments of you in 6 seconds. Okay, so let's figure out what a good video environment looks like and what you need to do in particular in a video interview that's different from a face-to-face interview. And so that's what we're going to talk about last week. Last week we talked about star stories. So if you missed that, I would highly recommend you go and watch it. Star stories are a very important part of making a connection with your interviewers. And that's available, Jeff will tell you, but it's on Jeff's Career USA YouTube channel. And then 2 more things. There we go. LinkedIn. Please link in with me. I don't have a huge network, but it's pretty focused on the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and there's a lot of different kinds of people in there because for the last 8 years I've been involved in the pit crew, and so I've met all kinds of people, do all kinds of different things. So I got a very broad, I would say, network focused on the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and you can just link in with me. Search Mark A. McDonald or search Pit Crew, or I've even put the link right in the chat window, so you can just click on that and just say, we met on the North Dallas Career Focus Group meeting, and that's good enough for me. I'll add you to my network. And then the final thing I want to mention is that besides running the pit crew, I do a little bit of coaching as well, but I only coach on one thing. I am an expert in how to answer this question: why did you leave your last job? Okay, and so for most of you, maybe because of COVID, that's pretty straightforward, but there may be a job before that or a job before that that is a little more complicated. So let's figure out how to tell that story briefly and with confidence, and how to answer any follow-up questions that may be generated based on your situation. And so we do that by having a conversation on the phone or Zoom, and it's confidential to you, so it'll just be you and I. And so send an email to dallaspitcrew@gmail.com and we'll set that up. And then I want to let you know, I forgot to mention that the pit crew is staffed by volunteers, so there's no charge for what we do. So if that's been holding you back because you weren't sure, there's no charge. It's all volunteers. Most of the interviewers are in job transition just like you. We're all very familiar with your situation. And I forgot to mention, I got laid off 3 times in my career, so I'm almost an expert. I guess if I'd made it to 5, I would consider myself an expert, but I'm pretty high up there on getting laid off, and so I can help you as well. Thanks, Jeff.
Mark, thank you very much. Carla asked, how far in advance do people need to contact you for an interview?
2 to 3 days. So if you got your information to me early today, because I want to, send it out before my panelists, my volunteers, quit looking at their email for the week, I could likely have it on Tuesday, but it might occur on Wednesday. So 2 to 3 business days.
2 to 3 days. Great. Thank you very, very much. All right. It's time for the career tip of the week. Good morning, Roxanne.
Good morning, everyone. The career tip of the week is how to get a remote job. Make these changes to your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn. You need to specifically target your job application if you want to work remotely. Here's how, by Monica Torres. If you're looking for a remote job to escape the dangers and drudgery of office life, you're not alone. Competition is fierce right now. LinkedIn reported that the number of remote job listings has nearly tripled since March. But landing a remote job requires more than simply telling friends and recruiters you want to post in which you can work from anywhere. In job application materials, the focus should not be on your personal journey, but how your past virtual experiences and skills make you the best fit for this job. You can craft your resume taking into consideration what the company needs and expects from you to succeed in that role, said remote career consultant Fabrizia Zanca. Here's how to do it when you're trying to go remote. Your resume needs to display specific language about working remotely. Showcase any and all remote experience. You likely have more of this experience than you think. If you worked at a distance from your coworkers across time zones or physical distances, that counts. If you've worked from home occasionally or regularly, that counts, said Bree Wheeler Reynolds, a career development manager at Coach at FlexJobs. If you earned a degree or certification online, that counts. If you volunteered on a project where you did most of the work from your home office, that counts. You can include this in descriptions of your past jobs in a statement like, led a team of 5 customer service reps in a completely remote work environment and successfully earned an average team satisfaction rating of 94%. Clearly denote which past titles were remote with language like Director of Marketing, 100% remote work. Make sure your virtual tech skills are prominently displayed. Recruiters scan resumes quickly. If you know the company you're applying for is using a platform like Asana or Slack, you want to make it immediately clear that you know how to use it well. List your expertise for remote tools at the top of first page of your resume or in a place where it is clearly displayed. Don't have virtual experience? There are ways to gain it. If you don't have any experience with working apart from others and are making a radical career switch, don't despair. Remote job coach said which skills you're missing. You should first identify which skills you're missing for these roles you want by working with people who already work remotely. Make a list of the people in your network who are already in that role in some way. They may work virtually or remotely, or they may have a job that they mostly do from a computer. They may be a business owner that has a company that hires people virtually. Asking them to work with you may require you to work for free. But by taking on some tasks in exchange for mentorship, you're not only getting experience for your resume, you're getting real work practice for the job you want. Your cover letter should support why you're a great remote worker. The cover letter should not be about you. It's about how you can support the company. Remote job experts emphasize that your cover letter should support why you make a good remote worker, not why you personally want to work from home. The reason is not that you want to travel the world or be able to pick up your kids from school. Instead, the cover letter should present a business case by describing how much your performance has advanced during whatever time during the pandemic you work from home. Keep in mind that hiring managers who scan your job application are looking for key remote skills. Job Search said that when she was a recruiter for remote jobs, she focused on interviews around determining whether candidates had the following skills: flexibility, such as responding to an unknown with little guidance and taking initiative; adaptability, such as managing shifting priorities; relationship building, and the ability to gain trust and buy-in from customers or leadership; the ability to prioritize multiple projects; and the ability to close the loop on pending decisions. Providing clear examples of how you've been successful in each of these areas supports your request for a remote role. Adding that this approach works for both cover letters and resumes. On LinkedIn, don't just state you're looking for remote work. Make your profile headline a targeted pitch. A LinkedIn profile is not about you, it's about the people that are going to land on the profile. In the headline, a lot of people write seeking remote job opportunities. That is about the worst thing you could put there because you're only focused on yourself. You've wasted a chance to put any searchable keywords there. If a recruiter or hiring manager were doing a search from the recruiting version of LinkedIn, they're not seeking remote opportunities in their search. They're seeking the role title or the industry title. To improve your headline, you should look for roles for which you should be a good fit. Then use the site like word clouds to show which keywords are used most in job descriptions for those roles. Use what you find to make your headline statement specific. The job seeker focuses, how do I find those companies and connect with the people in the companies that are already championing remote work? And how do I display myself and articulate my value as a good fit for that role, remote or not? Filling up the About section matters too. The About section of your LinkedIn profile shouldn't be blank or just making a sentence long as a common mistake she sees remote seekers make. Even though the section of that profile is not searchable, if you have enough keywords that fit the job posting that send them to your profile in the About section, it's a bonus because it lets them know about you, the person. That's where you make your connection to draw them in, to grab their attention and entice them to reach out to you. That's a career tip of the week. Good luck and have a great weekend.
Roxanne, thank you very, very much. All right. So coming up here in just a couple minutes, we're going to hear from Fred Schlesinger talking about being a better brand. I'm going to put in the chat box one more time the handout if you didn't happen to get it. I sent it out yesterday. For those people who maybe are new and haven't joined our email distribution list, the list is I just put the handout in the chat box where you can now download it. If for some reason when you try to open it, if it doesn't open correctly, rename the file and just add .pdf to the end of it. I noticed that Zoom has been having some issues with this lately. Natalie asked, will we get a copy of all the details that Roxanne has been sharing? Yes, it's already there. It's published. Roxanne gets this from the Career DFW, Career USA websites. So if you just go to careerusa.org and you can click on the tip of the week, which will be right there in the front page in the middle, or you can click on the tab that says career tip of the week on it. The tip is there every Saturday at 1 o'clock. A new tip appears, so you can see today's tip until then. And then tomorrow at 1 o'clock, when the new tip pops up, you can scroll down on the right-hand side and you can look for tips from 2021, and you'll be able to find the tip located in there. Let's see here. Okay, so hopefully I've answered your question, Natalie. All right. So we'll hear from Fred in just a couple seconds here. All right, upcoming sessions next Friday, networking in a virtual world. That'll be on next Friday with us on, whoops, there we go. I forgot to pop it up. There we go. Networking in a virtual world next Friday. In the first Friday of the month in February, we'll be doing open forum as we do the first Friday of every month. You have questions about your job search. It's a free for all, whatever you like to ask away. Right now we have 63 people online and everybody can offer their opinions. You're experts because you've been doing this too. And then on February 12th, our speaker is going to talk about background checks. Everybody here probably has to go through a background check when you get a new job. And our speaker runs a background check company. He's been presenting to us yearly for the last several years. His business is running background checks, and he runs legitimate background checks, and he'll talk about what the good ones are, and he'll explain about the bad ones that are out there that you sort of need to be careful of, and some of the little rules about that. I just want to mention here that Career DFW and the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group are two separate organizations. The fact that I'm on the Career USA, Career DFW Facebook page just happens to be that I happen to control both of the organizations at one time. I allow different focus groups to be able to be on the Career DFW Facebook page. Career DFW is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that I started back in 2008 when I started the website. The North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group has been around since the late 1990s, run by several different people, consisting of a bunch of great people who get together on Friday, and hopefully by the middle or end of this year, we'll be getting back together again in person. And some of us will go out to lunch afterwards, and we'll start to be able to do some personal networking like we haven't done for the past year. But they're two separate organizations. The only common thread is that I happen to lead both. If anybody would like to overthrow me here and take over the North Dallas Career Focus Group, you're welcome to do so. Just contact me, let me know, and I'll hand everything over to you. But you're not going to get Career DFW out of my hands. So I just need to sort of pass that along. At the end of this session, we're going to be picking two winners After Fred's done talking, we will do a couple of little closing things, and then we're going to pick a couple winners. I've had a person donate licenses for JobScan, and he's giving you a 1 month. We're going to pick 2 winners. And so the people who win today will be February 1 through 28. And then March 1st, we'll have new people who will be doing it. So we'll be giving away 2 seats for jobscan.co. You'll have unlimited use of using the platform. So if you want to hang out to the very end of this presentation or when we're done, we'll have everybody, we'll pick a couple winners. So just hang in there to the very, very end. All right, so it's time for our main event. Fred Schlesinger, I've known Fred for many years. His son and my son were in high school together. Fred was a coach of my son's soccer team, and I don't know if they played basketball. Yeah, they played basketball also. Fred's been a speaker for our, at our group yearly for many years. You may have seen Fred at other events also. I mentioned that I talk about Fred at the very beginning of my book, in the foreword of my book. And the reason I talk about him is because I can vividly remember him saying, "You're not going to remember everything I say over the next 60 minutes. But if you just take away one thing this week, that's all I ask. Take away one thing and apply it in your job search. That's all I ask." So when I wrote the book, it was like, well, here are all those little one things that speakers talked about over the time. So now Fred's thing that I took away from his session was, if you're going to have a networking meeting, go to Einstein Bagel, because at the time coffee was 99 cents and you got free refills. So that was the one little tip that I remember taking away. And like I said, that whole story is in the book, in the very foreword of the book. So here he is, Fred. Thank you for being with us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Well, thank you, Jeff, and want to thank everybody for joining us this morning. Also want to thank Eldon and Mark and Roxanne for wonderful, wonderful, insightful information that will only help everybody in their new job search. I was going through the participants on the call. We have about 64, and I noticed that there are several people that have become old friends of mine. I've been speaking on this topic, which is branding, for over 10 years, and been supporting Jeff's wonderful organization for about that long. And things have evolved in my life. I'll give you a little background, and hopefully some of this will be able to translate into what your job search is. So for 27 years, I was in the very high end of the men's clothing business and sold the best of the best men's specialty stores, including Neiman Marcus, Bergdorf Goodman, on and on. And make an extremely long story very short, that industry came to a screeching halt back in 1999 when a memo, notice I said memo, not email, went out from one of the top executives at IBM saying, we've spent about $1 million on these focus groups, and we've determined that if a male executive didn't have to wear a tightly bound piece of silk around his neck, it would create more blood flow, more ideas, more creativity, and hopefully more productivity. This is an absolute true story. You probably could Google it. You may not find it, but this is exactly what happened. So within a period of a few years, the suit industry, the tie industry, dress shirt industry came to a screeching halt. And today, what you have in the men's industry is a handful of stores that are left over from the debacle in 1999. And I had my own company. We were producing high-end Italian menswear. I would spend 11 weeks a year in Italy designing my own collection, selling it to the fine stores. And then all of a sudden, we didn't have people to sell, because the typical executive that would walk into a men's clothing store buying a couple of suits and dress shirts and ties, all of a sudden said to a salesman, "You know what, give me a couple of nice pair of trousers and a Bobby Jones golf shirt, and I'm good to go. And the store owner would say, well, what do I do about all these suits behind me that are double hung that are paid for? And the customer said, beats me. I don't really have a need for it. So the market completely shriveled up, and the industry was decimated. And I found myself without people to do business with. So I closed my doors in one, extremely painful. It's one thing to be fired from a position or transition from a position or laid off. It's another thing to close your business, because my business was my life. My business was my child. And all of a sudden, I had to put my child to rest. And it was extremely painful physically, psychologically, and emotionally, as you could imagine. So I took a huge step back and spent a lot of time introspectively thinking about what am I going to do? Because at that time, it was mid to late 40s, and I had another 20 years easily in my career. So through a lot of testing, I ended up a lot of networking, a lot of connecting. I ended up getting licensed, and I became 17 years ago a licensed financial advisor. And I was extremely successful because, and we're going to be talking about this this morning, I took my talents, and we're going to talk about the difference between talent and skills. Most employers, hiring managers, HR people talk about your skills. I'm going to be talking about your talents today. And I'm not being semantical. There's a cavernous difference between your skills and your talents. And it's so important that you identify them. Those of you that got the workbook a few days ago and took the time to go through it, you'll see on page 5, there's a self-inventory quadrant, and we'll get into that in a little while. So I just recently, as of 1/1, took a retired contract from the company that I was representing, which was Principal Financial Group, wonderful financial service company. I sold my practice after 17 years. I had 400 active clients, and I sold it to a younger advisor. So being able to sell my practice and being able to glean the money from that and take my pension, and as of March 6th, my Social Security kicks in, I finally, after 45 years of working, have removed this financial burden, this financial pressure of having to produce income to take care of myself and my family for 45 years. And I've embarked on the 3rd chapter of my life. So I've now transitioned myself, or rebranded myself, because that's what we're going to be talking about, 3 times over the last 45 years. So I hope some of this, part of this, all of this resonates with each and every one of you on our call today. We're now up to 65 people, and very excited. So let's kind of drill down into branding. And if you'll turn to your workbook, get past my bio and look at page 1, we'll talk about one of my favorite topics in talking about branding, which is paradigms. And I've delivered this workshop talk over 500 times in the last 10 years. So I want you to know that like Eldon and like Roxanne and like Mark and Jeff, I'm on your staff. I'm offering my coaching, my branding coaching services to you as a commitment to DFW, Career DFW, and Jeff Morris. And feel free to reach out to me anytime you want. You could call me, you could email me, you could text me, and I'll be happy to spend time with you, whether it's helping you rebrand yourself, if you're looking to transition out of the industry that you were in for X amount of years, or rebranding yourself within the industry if you decide to stay in the industry moving forward. So I offer you that, and I take a very personal one-on-one approach. I have helped hundreds and hundreds of job seekers over the last 15 years find a job. And whether it's helping them with their interview skills or helping them with creating a better first impression. And somebody mentioned that first impressions have changed now that we're in a virtual. And that's absolutely true, but there are certain basics that remain. Our rules since the pandemic, we all know, have changed dramatically. But what hasn't changed is the who in you. And what branding is all about, or rebranding is about displaying, selling, if you will, portraying the who in you. Because hiring managers, and I've met with many, many of them over the years, at the end of the day, end up hiring the who in you and not the what of you. And a lot of you on this call have tremendous experience, tremendous success, tremendous credentials and appointments and things like that. But when somebody goes to hire you, as Roxanne mentioned earlier, they're looking to see how you fit into their company and their company's culture. And it's very important that prior to your interview, whether it's in person, hopefully in a few months, or virtual right now, that you do the research to understand the DNA of that company that you're interviewing for. As we go through all of this, feel free to express your comments, questions in the chat box, and I will be sure to respond to it, because prior to the pandemic, I've always prided myself that these workshops were interactive, and there's no reason why they can't continue to be, even though you're texting or typing, speaking in front of the group. So paradigms, basically it's how you see things, how you see people is a paradigm. And of course, we're talking about how you see yourself. Have you taken the time to be introspective? And this is a great time to step back and be introspective. And frankly, in 2020, I did that, which is what led me to the decision of taking a retired contract and moving on to what I'm most passionate about and getting for it. So I've now emerged over the last 4 months as a teaching professional in the tennis industry. So I'm now a teaching pro, and currently I'm teaching up in McKinney, and I'm building my brand and I'm building my practice. And most importantly, ladies and gentlemen, I love my life. And I couldn't have said that to you 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. I love teaching. I love helping people. And if that's a drive of yours, a passion of yours, I strongly recommend that you seek that, whether it's mentoring people or coaching people. It's a very, very worthwhile profession, because we're on this planet to help each other. So my question is, how do you see yourself? Can you take a minute and jot down, we're on page 1 of the workbook, 3 to 6 words that describe who you are today? Now, I'm going to give you a tip. Don't describe what you are. Describe who you are. And I want you to have kind of a deep dive into yourself. When you change your thinking about someone or something, that's what we commonly know as a paradigm shift. But we never talk about paradigms. We always use the term paradigm shift, but the shift has to come from something. So it comes from a mentality. So if you have a relationship, or you've recently met somebody and you've developed a first impression, in order for that first impression to move forward or backward, there has to be some sort of an event that changes the way you see that person. Well, I always thought of Bob as being a relatively transparent, honest, forthright person. But you know what? About 6 months ago, I found out that Bob, blah, blah, blah. And now I've had a shift in how I think of Bob, or how I think of my utility company, or how I think of my child or my spouse. And, you know, it's a funny thing with the divorce rate prior to the pandemic being 54%. Experts predict that the divorce rate is going to skyrocket when we get out of the pandemic, because we've all had a lot of time to really reflect and realize who we're married to. And at the same time, there is going to be a baby boom because people have a lot of time. So they either have a lot of time to have babies or they have a lot of time to get divorced. So I don't know which way you're going, but we all got to be moving forward or stay in a happy marriage, of course. So in the chat box, does anybody want to play? There are valuable prizes at the end of our talk, as Jeff mentioned. And so who would like to go first and jot down the 3 to 6 words describing who you are? And then the end game of this is, at the end, if we have time, and hopefully we do, I'm going to help you craft a memorable business card using the who you are as your logo, as your slogan. Then once you've felt comfortable in describing who you are, not what you are, I would then like you to ask yourself, who do you need to be to get where you want in life? In other words, if you're not who you should be, I'm talking professionally and personally, emotionally, then what do you need to do? What work do you need to do for you to become the who that you need to be? So we're seeing a few in the chat box. We see teacher, writer, coach from Carla. We see technical translator from Alkeisha. And Jeff is asking, please compare and contrast who versus what you are. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Yes. So what we're getting is, in all due respect, what's. I'm not interested in what's. And your hiring manager, while they may be interested in what you are, certainly, so that you're a good fit, they're more interested in who you are. So now Alexis is getting a little closer with her response of saying, I'm dependable, I'm motivated, I'm trustworthy. Jason is saying, in other words, no titles and beyond that. Yes, dig down into your core, into your heart. Your heart is who you are. Your head is what you are, if that helps you with that little tasty metaphor. And like Roxanne talked about earlier in our call, it's really important that you could show experience. And if you can't show experience, you could borrow experience. You could borrow experience from a previous coworker and talk about being on a team of having a successful project and everything else. So Carla is chiming in by saying she's caring, she's giving, and she's dedicated. Problem solver, analytical, detail-oriented, empathy. It's a word that's not often used, but hiring managers are looking for people that could show empathy to fellow workers and certainly to clients. Innovative, outgoing. We're starting to get into it. Loves to fix things better. So let's stay on that for a minute, because hiring managers, what they love to hire are problem solvers. The reason you're interviewing for a position is the company has a problem. They have a sales problem. They have a supply chain problem. They have a transportation problem, a warehouse problem, an accounting problem, whatever industry that you're in. They have a problem and they're hiring you to solve it. So what's incredibly important in your interview, whether it's virtual or personal, one-on-one, when we get out of this ludicrous pandemic, is for you to be able to demonstrate and be able to display these virtues of who you are. So when you say, oh, okay, I'll tell you who I am. I'm reliable. You can't demonstrate that in an interview. I care, I'm caring. And while that's important, difficult to demonstrate. Now, you may be able to demonstrate empathetic and reveal a story that you went through in your previous job of how empathetic you were. You can display that you're passionate if you are. And a lot of people, everybody says they're passionate, but not everybody is. Like everybody thinks they're funny and most people aren't. But you can display, Roxanne's laughing, you can display passion. How can you display passion? Assuming that's one of the virtues of who you are. Anybody want to jump in? I promised it would be interactive and you could just type it in. How can you describe your passion in a virtual interview? Roxanne says a story. It could be purely the rhythm of your speech. It could be, thank you, Natalie, your body language, how you communicate, enthusiasm. Thank you. You got it. So by showing emotion, as Karen chimed in, and utilizing a different cadence or a different rhythm of your speech, you're showing passion. You're showing compassion by telling a story, just like you would be showing empathy. So now you're kind of on the right track, many of you that are participating. And because we're shackled by having to conduct these interviews virtually, and we're not skilled in this because this pandemic is, basically a year old come February. And we're just getting the hang of this. And I believe we're just going to get the hang of this. And before you know it, hopefully May, June, we're going to be coming out of it and companies are going to reopen physically and they're going to start conducting interviews physically. And by the way, I'm very in touch with the business community, and businesses are hiring. Businesses, even though, the unemployment rate obviously is sky high and people are collecting unemployment checks, particularly in Texas, particularly in DFW, the market remains vibrant, remains strong. There are plenty of companies that provide essential services that are looking for passionate people to fill opportunities. And right now they may be remote, but eventually offices are going to reopen and we're going to return to what I call the new abnormal. You heard it here. Jeff, you could use that quote in your next book. But I call this the new abnormal because there'll be nothing normal about what we're going to experience when we do come out of this pandemic, and we will. So we, as humans, as human animals, we must constantly be adapting. And if we don't, all we have to do is look at our friends, the pterodactyls, and see where they are today. So if you're not adjusting and you're not adapting and you're not conforming to what needs to be done today during this pandemic, then you're on the sidelines. You're out of the game. Okay. Jason said, I actually used some of the descriptive words from Clifton Strengths Finders. Thank you, Jason. And if you could share with everybody a little bit more about Strengths Finders, because not everybody knows about it, that would be very helpful. Okay, so let's continue and take the time to fill in page 1 and to fill in these other pages that we're going to go through. And just because Jeff only gives me an hour to speak, it doesn't mean that I'm only in your life for an hour. Feel free to reach out to me and we could go through the workbook after you've completed some of these assignments and help you transition into being a better brand, because that's what they're hiring. These companies have a lot of people to hire from. a lot of applications, and they want to hire the best brand that they know how. So let's talk for a minute, turning to page 2, on really what a brand is, because not all of you, I'm not assuming that all of you actually know what a brand is. So your dictionary or Wikipedia or Google definition is your promise to your audience that they could expect something unique, different, or special from you. And the reason that I talk about the dictionary definition is because I want those words to resonate with you. Who are you? And the who are you makes you unique, because there's only one you. Makes you different, and hopefully makes you special enough that you'll get a job offer. Your brand is derived from who you are, who you want to be, and who people perceive you to be. One of the earlier speakers touched on first impression. We're going to talk on that, and how first impression has dramatically evolved to fit or conform to the new virtual world that we're being thrown into. So let's talk a little bit about some iconic brands. And I want you to be able, and I just picked these randomly, but you all can agree. Oh, Glenn, okay, bye. Have a wonderful weekend. And I really appreciate you being on the call. Thank you. I want to talk about BMW. So BMW is an iconic automobile or vehicle brand, because they also manufacture trucks and so forth, motorcycles. So in one word, I want you in your chat box to tell me what defines BMW. Then there's only one word that defines BMW. What one word defines Nike? Quick story about Nike as we move on. Nike was created back in the mid-'70s by a brilliant businessman named Phil Knight. And he came up with a product that fits on your foot. And in those days, the only sneakers, and nobody even used the word sneakers anymore, that exist, if you could remember, those of you that are in your late 40s, 50s, 60s, remember Chuck Taylor, and remember PF Flyers, and remember Keds. Anybody with their, you could just react with just raising your hand. Yes, thank you, Roxanne. Although you don't look that old, but I guess you read about it. And that's all that existed back then. And what Phil Knight did is he created this goofy looking athletic shoe. And in his first 2 years, kind of like Seinfeld's first season, he was a complete failure. Okay. And I mentioned Seinfeld because NBC was just about ready to cancel the show. And there was a glitch in the programming, and they let it run for a second season, and the rest was history. So sometimes luck comes into play, sometimes, or good fortune, if you want to say. So at the same time, there was a gentleman named Jim Fixx with 2 X's who wrote this book that changed the American lifestyle. And the name of the book was called Running by Jim Fixx. And that's what started the running craze. And here's Phil Knight with these goofy looking running shoes. And again, the rest is history, and it took off. So Phil Knight developed his own 3-word, who am I? And everybody knows what that is, correct? Just do it. So what Phil was saying is, I know this footwear looks a little goofy and strange, and I know it's very expensive. I really care what you do in these shoes. You could shop, get your nails done, climb rocks, visit your grandparents. I don't really care, but whatever you do, just do it. And it took off like a rocket. And today, Nike is a multi-billion-dollar global brand, and they never look back. So getting back to BMW and Nike, what one word depicts Nike's success. Why is Nike iconic? Why is BMW iconic? And I'll go back over those. Great. You had a little vision. You moved ahead. And what one word describes the Yankees and why they have become such an iconic brand? And you don't think of sports teams as a brand, but they clearly are. And last but not least, Apple. So BMW, their who in you, their one word, if you had to describe it, would be engineering. They have engineered an incredible vehicle, and they continue to be leaders in engineering. Nike, the easy one word would be vision, that he had the vision to create this iconic company. The Yankees, one word, really simple. You were very close, the gentleman that mentioned winning, consistent. But the one word of the Yankees is winning. The Yankees have won, I think, 20 championships, and the closest franchise to the Yankees, any sports fans out there that would know the answer without Googling, how many the second most successful baseball team won world championships? Can they name that?
Cardinals.
Huh? Anybody?
St. Louis Cardinals.
Thank you, Gary. How many? And I think it was 16. And for the bonus round and the trip to Guadalajara, what would be the third team? LA Dodgers with 12 world championships. So the point is the Yankees have like the amount of the second place. So clearly is the cornerstone of their brand. And lastly, Apple, the only word that would come to mind would be innovation. And Apple, like a lot of other companies, became part of our American lifestyle through their innovation. So now I want to move on. Now that you have a really good understanding of brand or what a brand is or how it can affect you, I want you to be able to take the who in you, like we just did with these 4 iconic brands, and try to translate that into coming up with 3 to 6 words of who you are. Let's move to page 2 and let's talk about value. And again, going back to the dictionary definition, the regard that something is held to deserve the importance, worth, or usefulness. Synonyms are advantage, benefit, gain, profit, merit. What is your value brand statement? So this ties back into coming up with the 3 to 6 words. And years ago, when I gave these workshops, I would tell job seekers, forget about the antiquated 8-track version of this, which was an elevator speech. How many times did you go to these workshops or talks and they go, you need to develop an elevator speech? And that really, particularly in today's pandemic, an elevator speech has no use because no one's getting into an elevator. There's a news flash for you. But I'd like to evolve that and have you work on a value brand statement, not your elevator speech. So when you do that, you want to show people, anybody that you meet, and hopefully a hiring manager, HR person, or of a company, division head, you want to be able to show value. My whole life, I've always centered my professional and personal life about giving extra value. I don't have a can-do attitude. I have a will-do attitude. A lot of people can do, but not everybody will do. And I want to be able to go that extra mile. Like, for example, in my new career, in my new passion of being a tennis pro, you know, they pay me to give a private lesson for an hour. I never go an hour because if the student or the client is really into it, I want to finish a drill or something that we're working on, and a lot of times it'll be an hour and 10 minutes. But typically all the other pros, boom, they have their watch on and they stop on the hour or on the half hour. And I'm not about that, because I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing it to help people. I'm doing it because of my love for the great game of tennis and the passion and what the game of tennis has given to me over the last 50 years. I've been playing tennis 50 years, and I've derived so both tangible and intangible benefits from this game. And I'm at a point in my life where I want to give back. So I'm always trying to add value. When a client says to me, I'm happy with the financial plan that we created, my response always, or I'm satisfied with the growth in my portfolio, I'm always saying, what else could I do for you? You need to consider adapting that as a catchphrase. Tell me what else I could do for you. Because my empathy, my caring, my value is insatiable. And I can't go enough for you. I can't go farther enough for you, because I'm never happy. And this might resonate with 6 of you, 12 of you, 1 of you. But if it resonates with 1 of you in our group, then I'm doing my job. Jason, Yankees last won World Series 2009. Added value is a huge buzzword in today's business world. Thank you, Jason, for sharing that. How do you describe value during the interview? Carla, great question. So what I'm saying to you in that developing that logo, that who you are, it's important that you're able to demonstrate and display it and talk about it where it connects with the future employer, the hiring manager, whoever you're looking to be hired by. And so value, like a lot of things, could be intangible, is intangible, and it's easily misinterpreted or interpreted in a way that's very personal to the person that you're giving value to. Because, you know, that extra 10 minutes that I spent with the student, it might have meant nothing to them. It might have meant everything to them. I had a junior lesson last week with a mother and a 14-year-old girl, because I do a lot of junior work, and she insisted on paying me more money. She insisted. So my value resonated with them. And it doesn't always do that. But you got to put the stuff, you got to throw this stuff on the wall, and it's going to stick with some people, and it's not going to stick, but it shouldn't knock you off your road to perseverance. And I talk about that word, and I don't want you to confuse being perseverant with being persistent. And we'll get to that in a little while. So any other feedback, any other questions before we move on to kind of our next topic? How am I doing time-wise, Jeff? How much more time do I have?
We can go another half hour. We can go to about 11:15.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'll take every minute that you give me.
Okay.
Because in the past, you've been Scrooge-like with the time that you've given me, because it was more important to go for pizza.
Right.
But now we don't have that.
We can't go anywhere for lunch, so we're stuck here at the home, and so yeah.
Well, there is Grubhub. We can always order in.
Oh, okay.
That'd be cool. We all order it at the same time and we're eating. That'd be funny. So any other feedback from what we've been discussing, brand value, anything? If I don't see anything in the chat box, I'll move on. Give you a few seconds. Okay. I do a lot of reading, and a book that so resonated with me years ago was written by a gentleman named Mark Sanborn. I highly recommend that you buy his first 2 books. And the first one was called The Fred Factor, has nothing to do with me. It has all to do, and I'm staying on the topic of value, with Fred, who was Mark Sanborn's, wait for it, mailman. And he dedicated a whole book to this mailman, because the mailman didn't see his job as only delivering mail. He saw his job as becoming woven into the fabric of everybody's life on his route. Very interesting. And we have time now to read and do a lot of other things. I highly recommend you buy his first book, which is The Fred Factor. And then it was so successful that he followed up with a book called The Encore Effect, which I'm going to read some excerpts from, and then we'll move on because I want to get to page 5. So what he talks about is remarkable performers, remarkable people, and he talks about this pyramid of possibility, and I'm going to go through it quickly because I want to get to some other things. He talks about potential. Take some time to ask yourself, how do you see yourself? How do you see those whom you influence? Do you see yourself as finished in terms of your spiritual or career advancements? Or do you see yourself as just getting started? At 66 years old, I'm just getting started with my third chapter in my life or my third career. And I am excited about it. I'm passionate about it because I work hard at staying healthy. And without your health, you got nothing. And I plan on being alive for at least 20 more years. So these next 5 to 10 years, I want to finally enjoy my passion. I have my 4 kids, they're off my payroll, and it's just my wife and myself, and we have all our monthly expenses under control, and now's our time to really be able to enjoy ourselves and travel and express our passions. So I would agree, this is Mark Sanborn, that remarkable people view themselves and others with unlimited potential, just waiting to be developed. Purpose. Potential without purpose is like a sheet of metal that has not yet been formed to a useful object. As Viktor Frankl said in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, there's nothing in this world that would be so effective in helping one to survive, even in the worst conditions, as the knowledge that there is meaning in one's life. When you take this time to be introspective while you're on the journey of branding or rebranding yourself, take some time to understand what is your meaning, what is your value, why are you on this planet, who are you? Remarkable people not only recognize their potential, but discover the purpose, the mold, the channel, the press that gives your life shape and value to that potential. Then he talks about passion. Comes from a commitment born of doing what you love to do and doing it with and for people who matter to you. I love that definition of passion. Principles. When what you say is reflected and amplified you live, you're certain to live a remarkable life. The metaphor I always use is you're walking down the street one day and you see a wallet laying in the street. What are your principles? What do you do? So your principles are the things that you do, your behavior when no one's looking, because it's easy to put on and to be a showman when people are looking, okay? And it's easy for people to go, wow, this guy or this woman, she's this and she's that, she's great. Yeah, because they're on stage. But it's when the curtain closes and you're behind the stage that your true principles really come out. Are you really that loving? Are you really that caring? Or is it just an act? Was your first move was to find out whose wallet it was and contact them and return it with the $326 that was in it? Or was it to take the $326 and throw the wallet in the garbage? Whatever. You are who you are. Perseverance, and I mentioned it earlier. Ernest Hemingway was a remarkable writer whose mantra was, and I love this, and I hope somebody prints a t-shirt other than I love New York one of these days. And I would love for the t-shirt to say, above all, endure. People don't simply endure. They exercise perseverance. And I know the word says persistence. I changed it to perseverance. They refuse to give in to despair. And as job seekers, we've always succumbed to despair, negative thoughts. And they work hard at doing what's right. Perseverance is a strategic word that suggests purposeful action. Every day of your unemployed life, you need to exhibit purposeful action, write it down, and before you close your eyes at night, review it. And here's the most important point. And, Jeff said, if you walk away with one nugget, here it is, as though you haven't had plenty of nuggets before, but here it is. Be highly self-accountable. There's just so much that Jeff Morris and his wonderful team or these other job-seeking organizations can do, career counselors, career coaches, business coaches, resume handlers. There's just so much anybody could do. But at the end of the day, it's your life. And you need to take responsibility for where you are today, where you want to be in the next month, 6 months, and year. And devise a plan. And a plan is only good. Plan is like an idea. It's only good if you execute it. Hold yourself accountable daily. Then on Friday, at the end of your business week or job seeking week, review it. See what's working. Continue to do what's working. And if it's not working, get rid of it. It's really simple. And that should be your business plan. Personalization, how you use purpose, passion, principles, and perseverance to make your actions you. There's no one else in this world but you. No one's going to be your advocate but you. No one's going to be your cheerleader but you. No one's going to be your salesperson but you. It's completely up to you. Those of you that are on the call that don't have a sales or marketing mentality, this is a time in your life that you need to develop some dimension, because you probably haven't had to sell in your life. Let's say you're an engineer, or let's say you're a supply chain manager. Now, it's really a non-selling position. And all of a sudden, you're out there selling yourself. And it's very difficult. And that's why you need help. I'm here to help you with that. Jeff and his wonderful team is here. And of course, there are other organizations that are there to help you free of charge. You don't have to pay a business coach $2,500 a month to get your next opportunity. So be resourceful. So the point, ladies and gentlemen, is every remarkable person, what is the point, is to move people in a positive way in the workplace, on stage, in the community. If we aren't moving people to better places in their lives, then we're missing the point. And that's exactly why I'm on this call today. I'm on this call to help move you forward. Some of you on this call are stuck. I get it. I was stuck too. I understand that. But what's important is that you understand why you might be stuck, why you might not be getting the traction. Step back, introspective thinking. You have plenty of time to do that, and reinvent yourself, rebrand yourself. Start to develop more positive thoughts. Sweep out of your mind the negative thoughts. They're not helpful at all. Surround yourself, whether it's at home or through your community, your business community, with positive people. Negative thoughts, negative people are cancers. They're poison. And I personally do not tolerate them. And I only surround myself with people that are upbeat, that are original thinkers. That's another thing. People in general aren't original thinkers. Most people kind of take a little of this, take a little of that, and they create their own formula. But when you find somebody that's an original thinker, they tend to rise to the top. Are you an original thinker? Is that part of who you are? If you are, great, then sell it. If you aren't, then identify it and try to develop more original thoughts. So as we're heading into the home stretch, this next topic and next page, page 5, those of you that are following along in your prayer books, we're going to talk about this. So I'm going to give you a homework assignment for those of you that are serious about being a better brand. And you see this quadrant and in front of you. Jeff, is there a way you could put up my workshop on the is there a way you could do that? I'm sorry.
Yes, give me a second here.
Sure. By the way, I love the new Jeff Morris 2021 look with the beard and no glasses. And I think you look great, Jeff.
Thank you very much. All right, let's see here.
Know you a long time. You look
have
good.
known me a long time.
You look good.
All right, so let's share this.
Thank
what
you.
What page are we on?
Page 5. It's just a quadrant.
Okay.
And so we're going to take a few minutes as Jeff's pulling that up, and we're going to talk about creating this self-inventory quadrant. When I went through my transition back in 2001, when I closed my menswear business, perfect. Thank you, Jeff. I did this. I sat down and took inventory of myself as though I was a warehouse filled with product, and I wanted to understand what my assets, liabilities, talents, and skills are. And I mentioned earlier in our time together that we're going to be talking about the cavernous difference between talents and skills. So when you start listing your assets and your liabilities, let's say you do that in tandem, you're going to find in some cases that your assets may in fact evolve into a liability in your next job search. You may in fact find what you thought was a liability is in fact an asset. I'll give you an example. Let's say your asset is sense of humor. Okay. So one could say that's an asset. I mean, we want to be around somebody that is funny, upbeat, humorous. It makes people laugh. It releases endorphins, blah, 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 blah. But it also could be a liability because that person with the sense of humor may not know when to stop. So all of a sudden, it's like, yeah, he's a funny guy and this and that, but I got to get work done. He doesn't stop with these stupid jokes. So I'm just telling you that an asset can be a liability. Charismatic under assets.
You expect me to spell that?
It doesn't start with a K. I'll give you a hint. CHAR. You're on your own. ASMITIC, something like that. Chariz,
I don't know.
or charming if you can't. Okay. Chariz, ISMAT. There it is. Jeff chimed in. Jeff's our
thank you.
Jeff's our Webster. Charismatic. Let's use Jeff's, since if he's wrong, it's okay. There you go. Carla chimed in. Yes, thank you. Okay, so charismatic, and Jeff's still working on that. That may be a great asset if you are a sales manager or in sales or in marketing. But if I'm a CPA, being charismatic really doesn't mean much. So it's very important that you create the list of assets and liabilities that are specific to, okay? So let's say a liability of you is I'm reserved or shy, okay? But that could be fine as an asset if you are in accounting or IT, because I don't need you to be the life of the party. So hopefully you're getting the idea of this. So you want to be able to list 4, 6, 8 assets, and you're going to find it more difficult. Thanks, Jeff. You're going to find it more difficult to list your liabilities because the liabilities are kind of the dark side and the ugly truth of who you are. But to be able to identify those liabilities and then work on minimizing those and accentuating your assets is so vital to you emerging or re-emerging as a new brand. Ellen asks, must complete inventory be specific for a career position? Well, yes. In other words, if this is what you're going for, if your end game or end goal is to find your next career within an industry, absolutely. Now, you bring up a good point. If you're looking to transition into another industry, then what you want to be able to do is find assets, and I made a note earlier, that are common and transferable. So I made a note early on at the beginning that I took my communication talents, my people talents, my value added service, my personality, and my passion. And I took those and I kept them with me as I segued from the men's clothing industry into financial services, into teaching tennis. So those fundamental assets or talents hold true in anything that I would pursue. I hope that helps. It's a self-evaluation to help you understand better who you are. Thank you, Jason, for kind of putting some italics around it. I appreciate it. Okay. How can I exactly know what my liabilities are pertaining to the job I want, Carla says. So when I did this back in 2001, I did it on my own. I literally just took a pen and paper and I drew that quadrant, that square. And I spent hours on coming up with what I thought was an inventory of who I am. Then I gave a separate piece of paper to my spouse. So I would highly recommend that you do this independent of your spouse or close friend or family. Could be a sibling, could be your parents, whatever, somebody that knows you well. And then what's exciting is sitting down with them, comparing it. Because as I said earlier, 90% of perception is reality. How people see you, how your spouse sees you, could be very different than the way you see yourself. How this hiring manager perceives you could be very different than what you have on your self-inventorying quadrant. And in there lies the secret sauce, being able to demonstrate truly who you are. I'd like to improve them. Is it safe to reach back to a previous employer and say, I'm trying to make improve? Absolutely brilliant comment, Carla. Bravo. Would that be safe? It would depend on the person you're reaching back to. But if it's somebody that you had a good relationship with and they had to lay you off or terminate you for a situation that was beyond your control, in my case, I closed my business based on industry dynamics. So I reached back out to some of my close clients and some of my close vendors. And I said to them, this is what I want to do. And can you help me with this? So absolutely. I think that that's a great comment and something that you'll derive a lot of value out of. So let's talk for a second about, because I'm trying to be cognizant of the time and it's closing at 11 o'clock. I have a few more minutes. Talents versus skills. So ladies and gentlemen, talents are innate. You are born with talents. Skills are learned behaviors. So you never hear the term, oh, well, Jason has incredible computer talents. You never hear that. You hear that Jason has incredible computer skills. Somebody has great resume writing skills. So you have to be able to delineate the difference between talent and skill. So I'll give you a very simple metaphor. I'm funny, okay? That's my talent. But I have learned how to tell jokes. So I'm a joke teller. Joke telling is a skill. Being funny is a talent. You know, everybody has in their life people that, I don't know, this guy is, I don't know what it is. He's just a funny guy. You take somebody like Will Ferrell. He's a funny guy. Dana Carvey. He's why? I don't know. And then you have comedians that are joke tellers. And they could be funny, but they aren't funny people. They're joke tellers. So the talent is being funny. The skill is learning how to do a setup and punchline. So let's take a minute and let me hear from you. What are some of your talents versus your skills? And you will blow away hiring managers when you proactively in an interview, let's assume an interview is 20 minutes long, start to talk about your talents and how, going back to what Roxanne was talking about at the top of our call, how your talents would be welcomed and integrated into the company's culture. You like that, Roxanne? You could smile, you could laugh, you could nod. It's okay. Is talent being intuitive? Absolutely. Brenda, Jeff, learner, idea generator. Carl is very creative. I saw, which is a skill, but I'm very creative with sewing. That's perfect because I have a hole in my jeans. I play the piano, so I'm creative with music. Okay. So let's stay on Carla and her comments. So you're invited to a concert of listening to two world-class concert pianists. And you get into the auditorium and you see on stage there are two pianos, Steinways. And one person sits down, the woman sits down, and she plays this concerto. And she does a really, really nice job at playing the concerto, and she gets polite golf applause from the audience. The gentleman comes in, and he sits down playing the exact same piece, okay? Same notes, same dynamics, everything's exactly the same, but he finishes his rendition and gets a standing ovation. Why? Because one of them played the piano. That's a skill. The other one was a talented, passionate pianist. Lovely, Steinway. I'd be examining what notes they played, how they did the dynamics, what heart did they put into it. Right. So that's where the talent is. Find your passion. If you find your passion, chances are you're going to find your talents. What do you love to do? What is your wheelhouse? What is your vibe? What is your groove? What just makes you feel good? When I leave teaching, 25 junior players, these kids, I get in the car 8:30 at night and I'm euphoric. I love it. That's my passion. That's my talent. My talent is communicating. My talent is coaching. My talent is helping move people to whatever next level they want to go to. So Ellen is suggesting that talent equals structured/organized. Skill equals clear written communication. How many of you agree with that? Just, it could be a raise of hands or a comment. Ellen, I'm not sure. It's always written. I agree. Talent, organizing, skill, creating. Or being organized is not a talent. Being organized is a skill. We're not born organized, okay? And by the way, there may be a lot of talents that are latent, that are in you, waiting for you to discover them and bring them out. Oh my God, I had no idea I had a talent for this because you never explored it. Now's the time during this pandemic to take the time and learn more about yourself so you could sell yourself better in an interview. Okay? So we're at 11:04. I'm going to tell you that the remainder of the pages talks about taking stock in yourself, creating your success. And let's jump to page 10, those of you that are following us. And let's talk for a minute about first impressions and how, as someone said at the top of the talk, how first impressions had no choice but to evolve in this virtual world that we've all been thrown into. So I think it was Mark who mentioned how many seconds, but yeah, thank you so much. It might have been Eldon or Mark who said how many seconds, but psychologists profess that it takes about 7 seconds to create a first impression. So I use the word scan, and really a first impression is no different than you going to buy a loaf of bread at Tom Thumb and the cashier scans the barcode. That's basically what it is. And so that impression is formed by eye contact, and certainly in a virtual world, you could create eye contact as far as looking away or looking into the camera. Handshake, okay, we got to put that on hold for a while. And I do a whole workshop on proper business handshakes, but for now we can't. Vocabulary, I think that that's a very, very important part of creating a first impression. Using secondary and tertiary words will benefit you. Try not to use primary words. Try to use secondary and tertiary words. And the reason I say that is because if I use a word in an interview that the interviewer doesn't know or doesn't understand or isn't familiar with, they're not going to say, gee, I never heard that word. They're going to nod politely, but they're going to say to themselves, wow, this person's pretty smart. They use that word and kind of heard it and never heard it used in this inflection or never used in this context. If they do know the word, the secondary or tertiary word, then they're going to be in agreement and they're going to go, hey, we're in the same club. So I like that. What I employ as a public speaker are the 4 E's, and I think that you should try to use that as a first impression: entertain, engage, enrich, and educate. And if you could kind of stick to that as your business plan or your interview plan, I think you're going to be fine. And then likability. And of course, with us not having the advantage of it being personal, in person, the likability is difficult. But I'll ask you a question. We've now spent the better part of an hour together. Do you find me likable? Virtually likable? It's okay. Not going to hurt my feelings. I have her at my retirement. I'm okay. Yes, absolutely. Yes. Don't ever get on another call again. Oh, that's terrible. Okay. I mean, that's how you feel. Very mush. Very mush. Lisa, very much or very mush? Are we mushy or are we, what are we? Okay, it's fine. Thank you. So, and then credibility. And we can definitely create credibility as a first impression, but that goes back to the what you are, the credibility, because you can't demonstrate credibility unless you could show experience and credentials, certifications, diplomas, things like that. So that's the first impression. And then if you want to have me back, Jeff, another time, we could do a session on business card branding. And we have done those in the past, and we could use that as kind of a part 2 if you all like to. So in conclusion, to create a competitive advantage over other job seekers seeking the same position you are, always be evaluating how you could add value to your prospects, to your clients, to your hiring manager. What else could I do for you? I'm just kind of re-galvanizing what I mentioned earlier and have that value-added mentality, a will do versus a can do. And every day, try to become a resource to all that you meet. I'm Fred Schlesinger. I'm here for you. Thank you for your time this time. Until next time, God bless you all and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
Fred, thank you very, very much. Great information. I think hopefully everybody here enjoyed what we're doing here. All right, let me go share a different screen. All right, so Fred, thank you very, very much. All right, let's see here. Let me move on. The Yahoo groups are gone. For those people who, if you're not, if you haven't heard, if you've got them in your address book, I suggest you go delete them. Please make sure you put your contact information in the Zoom chat box or in these Facebook comment fields. I will go through the Facebook comment fields and I will delete your personal information as soon as this session is over. I want to make sure everybody's invited to our groups.io group. Everybody who's on this call today will get an invitation later within the next hour or two to join. So as long as your contact information is in the chat box, I will be able to do that. So if you haven't done so yet, please put your name, phone number, email address, what you're looking for, a couple target companies, and then hit the return key. And I will make sure all this information gets passed out to everybody this afternoon. Upcoming program we have coming up in the next coming up next week, next Tuesday. We're doing our LinkedIn. We do LinkedIn every Tuesday. We have 4 great speakers with us. Next Tuesday, Kurt Vonnemotter will be with us. He's an executive recruiter, and he's going to be talking about LinkedIn from a recruiter's eyes. When we talk about what he's going to be showing us, he'll be showing us the $15,000 a year package that he pays LinkedIn to be able to search for candidates from the back end of LinkedIn. And he'll talk about how it works, and he'll show us some of the searches that he does. So it's a fascinating presentation. Please join us. You will learn a lot on how to be found on LinkedIn. Next Wednesday, we'll be on session number 4, video interviewing. So if you're not sure how to do that, if you haven't done it, join us next Wednesday at 1 o'clock. Next Thursday at 1 o'clock, we'll be doing our Effective Resume Thursday class. We are going to be giving away every Thursday, we'll be giving away 2 1-month uses of JobScan for the next couple months. We'll be doing this. Every week we'll give away 2 sessions, 2 free sessions. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career FW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel. You'll be able to go back and watch it and gather whatever information you'd like. Please follow us on Facebook. When you follow us on Facebook, every time we go live, you'll see a little alert on your phone. If you follow us on YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel, you will be able to get an alert every time I post a new video. This video will be up in about maybe 3 or 4 hours from now up on the channel if you'd like to view it again. And this is what the Career USA YouTube channel looks like. If you click on playlist, don't click on the videos, but down where the red arrow is underneath whatever topic you'd like, click on view full playlist, and that's where you'll find all the details and you can select the video that you'd like to select. Okay, it's time to win 1 month use of a limited use of jobscan.co. It is jobscan.co, not .com. So if you are interested in winning, there are 2 prerequisites. Number 1, you have to have your contact information in the chat box so I know how to contact you. Number 2 is pick a number between 1 and 100, and the 2 people who are closest will win. So I need everybody to put numbers in. I'll give you another 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and our winning number is 86. So look at that. Drake is 86. I don't know if there are any other 86s. Let me look and see if we had anybody else with 86. There's an 87 from Carla. Those may be our 2 winners, I think, 86 and 87. So I will get your information this afternoon. I will copy it as long as your information's in the chat box. I will get it submitted. You will get an email the beginning of February, probably February 1st or maybe the end of this month. And you'll be able to use it for a 28-day period, February 1st to February 28th. Sorry, you get shortchanged. You get the shortest number of days to use it. Unlimited scans that are out there. All right, so thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you, Fred, for everything you've done. For everybody else, have a great weekend. Hopefully we'll see you sometime next week, and go whoever you're rooting for Sunday playing football. So
stay hungry, stay thirsty, stay passionate.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Fred. Appreciate it.
Thank
Sure.
you. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Okay.
Many thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Au revoir, mademoiselle.
Au revoir. I don't know who said that, but au revoir.